Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream. We are getting some very bullish price action here after yesterday's dip. So, made the right call on holding off on any positions yesterday because we had conflicting signals. And let's go over those conflicting signals now. So, first and foremost, our most important pivot right now is the daily 500 period, which I have saved to this indicator. Beautiful. We have, I think, 5 points of contact on this now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My God, why is that holding so well? That's just ridiculous. Right, 500 period on the 1.25 standard deviation on the daily chart perfectly defines current trend, and just as it did for the previous bull run. And I'm gonna reduce some ambient noise here. Hold on. There we go. My microphone is too sensitive for its own good. Or I could just use the right settings, but what's the fun in that? Anyway. Everybody's looking at this trend line right now, which, I don't know, I guess we could draw it on a lower time frame, because it's kind of odd to get these huge liquidity spikes, or volume spikes, excuse me. I don't know the right way to draw this trend line. Like, all these wicks and price action just plunge right through it repeatedly. There's no good way to draw it, right? Static price action doesn't really play all that well. I'm going to be honest. All right, what does matter is compression, and we have significantly compressed. And one of my biggest concerns on this chart was a downward fake out below support, or at least perceived per support, before continuous expansion. So we were looking at the wave PM, particularly how every value was below 0.7, like we see here, right? What we were looking for is this signal here, the 14 period crossing the 100 signal, and then confirmation by this going above the 0.7 period, right? Because when all of these start expanding in the same direction, that defines a longer term trend. So right now we are trying to determine if the weighting will hold, right? Because we're defining weighting by using CCI. Because typically when you get comprehensive net expansion, you get something like this. Every period weights itself to the same side. And while that did happen for a second, it immediately returned to neutral weighting and now almost positive weighting. And we call this a fake out, right? A significant dip to the downside before significant move to the upside. Because I guarantee you, there were a lot of liquidations on this candle. And wouldn't it make sense that we would do that before immediately reversing, going the opposite direction, directly on top of support, or even slightly below support? So, my patience was rewarded in simply the fact that I didn't lose any money off of any extreme signal. Did that just like change $200 while I was talking? Hold on. Yeah, it did. Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's some pretty exciting price action all at once. Yeah, okay, that's 3% in 3 minutes. Jesus. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was the mean reversion condition here on the lower time frames. It does seem to be well defined by the 15-minute, but we should just do the 30-minute so we actually get the clearest reading. Which actually should, in theory, let us define a swing high as well. Let's take a look. All right, I'm gonna hide that indicator and load this indicator. Oh my God, that's perfect. So, watch this, guys. We have the downward expansion here, right? Just downward trend. And then, typically, the way this works is price will just end up going sideways and then down, allowing for this to catch up, right? Or it'll catch up and then go inside and then mean revert. So this is pretty cool because it implies significant upward force, right? Because if you immediately get mean reversion directly after a downward expansion, it implies equilibrium. So when we actually enter a compressing range, that would have been a really good short there. Wow. It's actually one of the best short positions you can take, is if you have a bearish trend definition and then an activated mean inversion, and then price action runs up and touches the other side of the compression area period. That's really clean and a pretty rare signal. It doesn't happen all that much, because this is technically a completed mean inversion now. However, we should, in theory, still be in a compression area range for the duration, right? Because we are currently defined as a 300 period, roughly. So we should, in theory, stay inside the 300 period for at least until that 300 period on the wave PM goes below the 0.7 value. I'll show you what that looks like. Beautiful. So, in theory, price should stay in a purple band until the 300 period turns green on the 3D wave PM, or better yet, if a 300 period on regular wave PM goes below the 0.7 value, which is here. All right, so we want to see a 300 period, boop, cross down like that. I don't have 300 loaded up on the wave PM, but that's what the 3D wave PM is for, right? We just want to see it turn green on that top plume. So until then, you can short 10,400. And of course, that value is going to adapt over time. It might still expand a bit further, but eventually it will compress. So price, in theory, should boop, 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 boop. Kind of like that. Kind of wish I got that short entry in, because that is just ideal how cleanly we bounced off the compression area pivot. Wow. And I actually have a pretty good example. Let's look at the few previous expansions, like this one here on the 130 period, or 125, excuse me. And let's just clean up this chart just a touch. So I said 125. Nice. So the condition ends, let's see, this candle. And let's open up the data window so you guys can just see this a bit better. All right, so here, you see how 125 is the longest red period? I'm going to mouse over to the right until it turns green, which is this candle here. Okay? Boom. So when the mean inversion condition activates here, price stays inside 125 band until the condition ends, and then trend can resume. Boom. We're seeing the exact same thing now, but on the 300 period. We're going to go sideways until it goes below 0.7 value, and then trend can resume. All right. This is very consistent. I got another good example for you. Here. Okay, cool. We have the 250 period. Watch this. 250. All right. Condition ends. Let's scroll down so we see the data window. We are looking at the 250 period. 250 turns green. This candle, roughly. There was aggressive upward slope on this particular section. So, well, yeah. This is one of the trickier mean inversion conditions, because we technically keep it active because of the upward slope of probability volatility. All right, watch this. So we have the upward slope of probability volatility, which keeps the active mean inversion condition despite upward trend. And then, boom, mean inversion happens in a single candle. Pretty ridiculous. Here's another good example, except this time on the 350 period. Let's take a look. All right. So compression area ranges are super reliable and enable good range trading. Nice. So we're going to look at the 350 period on the data window, or just 300. No, 350 is right. Turns green. This candle. Holy hell. That's so funny. All right, watch this. We activate the mean inversion condition here when we go inside the band. Price stays in the band, can't leave it. Complete the mean inversion. It exits the band where? Oh, boom, as soon as the mean inversion condition's over. That's pretty crazy, guys. That is stupidly accurate. Anyway, we're getting that same thing now. Bitcoin's just going to go sideways, guys. All right, you want to attempt to long 10,000 and you want to short 10,400. Simple as that. Those are your positions. All right, obviously, because of the slope of probability volatility, these values might go up, they might go down, depending on how price action actually performs inside the band. But in all honesty, these values should stay pretty consistent over the next 24 hours. Oh, we're on the 30-minute chart, so I'd say maybe next 12 hours, because as soon as our mean inversion condition completes in terms of compression, then price action can resume either upward or downward. Until then, price is trapped. We need to go sideways, okay? Nothing's going to happen on Bitcoin. We're going to stay in this range, long the bottom, short the top. That's it for Bitcoin, guys. I love you. Just going to check the comments. Nothing new. Beautiful. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Ciao.